was called to program this vehicle and I'm having an issue with so the whole issue is it doesn't communicate with RFA. So what I'll do now is I'll try and establish communication. Although the ignition is on, you can only turn the ignition on by touching the key to the neck of the steering, then it will turn on. So now what I'll do is I have to do auto scan and see the modules that I can communicate with. This is where you might need topology to know the modules on which network, but I know the RFA is on mid-speed CAN, so I'll check and see why I'm not able to communicate with it. So I know on my mid-speed CAN I should have some communication there. So I'll check some of the modules on the mid-speed CAN and see if I'm able to communicate with them. If I'm able to communicate with them, then I have to go and check my power and ground, CAN high and CAN low, to see where I'm not able to communicate with this vehicle. So it looks like I'm done scanning, and because the ignition is on, so I'm able to communicate with most of the modules. So now what I'll do is let me check if the RFA is online or it is offline. If not, then I have to derive a strategy to see if I'll be able to communicate with the RFA. So from this, it tells me I can't see the RFA, or it tells me the RFA is not responding, and you can see this, the RFA is not responding. So I have to go to the RFA unit and check one or two things there. So here is the RFA, and from my wiring diagram, I know where the CAN line is, and this message shows me that there is communication on that CAN line. This is CAN high. Let me change it to CAN low. So let me change it to CAN low, and this is CAN low. So it tells me that my CAN lines are okay on the RFA. So now what I can do is I have to check also my communication lines on the RFA, because I have to check my power and ground, because I'm getting my CAN high and my CAN low, which tells me that my RFA should be communicating. But if I check power and ground and there is a problem, then that means I have to find a strategy to overcome this. So for my wiring diagram, I'm having two power. There is one, there is gray and red. I'm having two power, so I have to test them and see if they are alive for my wiring diagram. Let me test. Sorry, yeah, my test light was on power instead of ground, so let me test it again. So this is power, yes, and I'm having the light, and this red one also is power on connector A, and I'm having it. Let me test the grounds also. It looks like it has only two grounds that goes to it, so let me test the two grounds. And this black one is a ground, and my test light is on, and pin 1 on the connector C, there is ground here, so let me test that one also, and my ground is on. So that tells me that this RFA is having a problem or something. So what I'll do is let me read more about my CAN lines and see why I'm not able to communicate with the RFA. So what I did was I've jumped the CAN high and CAN low to this one, right? So I've jumped it to what I've done is now I've connected it from all the way to the breakout box here. So I am on a mid-speed CAN on the breakout box, and on the mid-speed CAN on the breakout box, and now I'm able to see the communication on the instrumental cluster, and it goes off and it tells me not detected, because the RFA that is fitted is not for this vehicle. The RFA is a different RFA, so it's not an RFA issue. It means the RFA is working perfectly, so the problem will be on the CAN line. So it means that there is a break in the CAN line somewhere, which I have to search for. So what I'll do is I'll put the key close to to the button and press it, because it has been synchronized and these key details have been written into the BCM. That's why I'm able to start it with, like, open the ignition without it. So let me do that. So now what I'll do is let me scan the system again and see the control modules that I'll be able to communicate with. Now the ignition is coming and you can see the P and you can see, so that means the instrumental cluster has two ways. So it has a high speed CAN and a mid speed CAN. So I think maybe now the mid speed CAN is communicating. So let me see the number of modules I'll be able to communicate with on the mid speed, because I've jumped it on pin 3 and I've jumped it on pin 3 and pin 11. So let me see if I was able to communicate with the RFA. So this tells me that the issue is a communication issue which is poking from within the wires, because power, ground and communication that was deceiving me came. That means there is a break somewhere, so I have to find out where the actual break is. And you can see I'm able to communicate with most of the modules on this vehicle. Now I'm able to communicate with most of the modules on this vehicle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to search for the original RFA and fit it on the vehicle. Then I'll know what to do. Then I'll start my diagnosing. Because if it will delay me, I'll just bypass the CAN line. If not, if the customer is ready to pay me for more time, then I'll spend more time to find the actual place that the wire is broken or the module which is causing the issue. So let me find for the original RFA and fit it. And let's see. So now what I've done is I've fitted another RFA, which they told me is the original RFA. So these are the other RFA that they brought for me to fix on the car. And now that RFA is still there. So now what I'll do is I have to turn on the ignition without using the key to touch and see if it will work. And it's still asking no key detected. So what I can do is, I don't know what they've done to that RFA. So I can fit another one and see if it gives me no key detected. Then I have to go and do initialization of RFA removal so that it could be able to identify that RFA. Now fitted another RFA. If it doesn't work, I'll fix the other one back and let me press the key and see if it will respond. It's still asking for detection, so that means I have to fix the other one, then do the initialization. So I fitted the other one that they told me is for the car, so still I'm having that issue. So I'll attach the key to it, then press, and the ignition is on. So now that the ignition is on, what I'll do is I have to do auto scan and see if I'll be able to communicate with the RFA. Then from there I can do. So let me see how quickly it scans through the system. And if I'm having communication with the RFA, I'll know what to do. So now I've jumped it and it's communicating. So maybe tonight I'll go home and go and learn about it, or speak to the customer if he wants me to spend more time to identify. They called me to come and identify the issue, and I've seen that there's an issue in the CAN line. So if they want me to trace and remove parts to trace the fault, then it will cost them extra. So now that I've been able to identify the issue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn about it, so that if he comes up and tell me that I should continue or I should trace the fault, then I have a little idea about it and do it that way. So now let me see if I'm able to communicate with the RFA, because that's the most important thing. And yes, there is no fault in the RFA. So what I'm going to do is, although it is the vehicle's RFA, let me see the information to show me that it is the vehicle's RFA. Okay, so this is the RFA type DPLA. So you can Google the part number and see if it is the correct RFA. We're having the correct VIN number in it. So this is the VIN number and this is the correct RFA. And I don't know if the remote, let me see if the remote is working or the remote side is not working. So let me go back, check the VIN number in the RFA and see, yeah, it's the same thing, 2020. So let me go back and do replace RFA using the IMO side of the tool. This is why I bought this tool, because when I'm doing diagnosing, I can switch back and forth from the IMO to diagnosing access, and it makes the work easier and lovely. So what I'll do now is I'll tell their boss I'll be coming tomorrow, or maybe they should give me a time. No, if they agree for me to trace the wires and find and fix, then it comes with a different cost than the one I charge them for the diagnosis. So let me see if when I do replacement it will work. Let me do IMO scan to see if I'll be able to communicate with the RFA. If I'm able to communicate with the RFA, it will help me know the number of keys in the RFA. Yes, and it did so. So it's now scanning the number of keys, and it's 6 keys in the system. So let me go to IMO matching, replace RFA learning, to see if it will be able to learn. Okay, turn off. Let me turn it off. The ignition is off. Here it is off. Turn on the hazard. So the hazard is on now. Then let me see, it turns on the ignition by itself automatically. Then it shuts everything down. So the machine will be doing everything, trying to learn the RFA and the BCM. So this is the learning process for the RFA or the BCM to know the key. So let me keep. I don't know if they've written this key into that RFA, but I'll also talk to them and see. Yeah, and it says synchronization complete. Okay. So the ignition is on now and it's still working. So I just have to wait for the system to finish the synchronization and other things that it's doing. Then after that I'll try the key and see, because they fitted the original BCM and everything is the original one. So let me wait for the process to be complete. Then 45 seconds. Okay. And let me see, the key is off. So I'll speak with them, and I'll be creating a Patreon page so that we can go through the wiring diagram and the process and the procedure if you want to join. So I'm working on that also, so that if you join our Patreon, you'll be able to access some vital information like the wiring diagram of this vehicle, or on the vehicle that we worked on, and a little bit explanation on it on the video. So I'm still waiting for the process to end, and learning of the current control module is completed. Okay, so if it is done, now let me try and see if still no key detected. So I'll tell them to write this key in the RFA, then I'll know. So they have to write this key in the RFA. This is the original vehicle key. I don't know if they've deleted it from the RFA. They have to write it back into the RFA. I can do that if they allow me, but I don't know. So I'll do that and I'll call it done. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. So now I can turn it on. I can turn the ignition on, and the ignition is on. Sorry. Hey, I'm struggling. And the ignition is on. So I'll speak to the shop and see what I can do. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.